Empowered Pathways is the merger of the Peacemaker Program, which is a community dispute resolution center, and the Women's Employment and Resource Center, which helps train women to get back into the workforce. And in 2018, we merged to form Empowered Pathways. Our gathering today celebrates the 25th anniversary of the Peacemaker Program and the 30th anniversary of the Women's Employment and Resource Center. And because we're not able to gather and hold events, which would have been so nice to celebrate together, we wanted to mark the occasion. So we're going to do that today by highlighting our board, our volunteers, our staff, and our services, and by formally launching our Pathway to the Future campaign, which you might have seen on social media. But the campaign offers donors the opportunity to sponsor a stepping stone or a Pathway Light. And we're going to it is actually a display within our office, and we're going to be revealing that at the end of the program today. And if you want more information, there's a ton of information on our website, and I put all of our contact information in the chat room, but it'll also appear at the end of the program. So to start off today, we're going to start with highlighting our board of directors, and I had the opportunity to interview some of them about their board experience, and here's what they had to say.
So yeah, I started my volunteer service more than 23 years ago with my training as a CASA and CCAP volunteer, really with the goal of supporting area children in need of an advocate in the family court system. And I learned about the program from a coworker who was actually one of the founding Peacemaker board members, who thought I would be well suited to the task. So that is how I came to that. And eventually, after a number of years as a child advocate, I was asked to join the board and have very much enjoyed that service as well.
There's so many different ways and so many different services that are offered that it's tough to, to pick one. I think what stood out to me most and continues to be so to this day was being able to attend a graduation ceremony for a group of women who had gone through the coursework to be able to find jobs in the community, and just to see their faces and to hear their stories and how emotional everyone was and how much it truly meant to them. I mean, that is amazing to see, and it puts into perspective all the things that you hear and about the organization and what we're able to do. But to see that and to see just the raw emotion from everyone of what it meant to them, it goes beyond just the power of learning something new on the computer to be able to go out and get a job. It was really meaningful to them, on a personal level, and that was fantastic to see, and it really stuck out to me.
Started out with the support for women, which I believe very strongly in, and I don't think there is enough of. It's still very important for women and the families. I think it's a small board. I feel like I can actually contribute. I'm not just checking the box that I'm on a board, and I can be useful and helpful and give support that I wouldn't want to place elsewhere.
I say what excites me is the continuation of what's been done. The merger has not happened that long ago. And to see the progress in that short period of time and what your staff and the board has been able to accomplish in a short period of time is just overwhelming to me. So having said that, there's so much more that we can do once this pandemic is over. That excites me, because if we could do so much in a short period of time, look at how well we'll be able to reach even more women, more children, more families. So that's really what excites me.
Volunteers are the heart of our agency. They do our technical support, they do website management. Of course, all of our board members are volunteers. We have SDMC committee members, mediators, arbitrators. employment trainers and mentors. Volunteers do it all, as well as fundraising. So we want to just say thank you for helping us to provide the services that we've been known for, and we want to let you meet a few of them.
My role is with the Women's Employment Resource Center to help the trainers during classes or workshops that we have. And also I work on the Empowered Pathways website.
Sure, I'd love to do that. I basically do mediation and arbitration. And I enjoy them. I really, really, really love the mediation though. And so, yeah, that's my groove.
My role as a SDMC volunteer is joining with the panel and making decisions regarding the individual's care for medical treatments, procedures that are considered invasive that have to have consent for them.
I look back at my childhood, and when I was 14, my dad passed away and left my mom to raise me and my younger brother and sister. But she managed to, through that heartbreaking time, she got this strength that I swear could move a mountain, I finally came to realize. And it was from this inner strength of, I'm not going to give up and I'm going to do whatever I can do to make things better. So when I meet some of the, well, actually all of the clients that walk through the door at Empowered Pathways, I see my mom in them.
So mediation is really important to me because it makes a way for people to come to their own solutions. And I think that's the best way to get to a solution that really works. You don't have to come back and try to fix it or whatever. It really works because people come up with their own solution. And as a mediator, I get the pleasure of helping them hear each other. And I think that's just an awesome job to do in the world because we don't hear each other enough. We don't take that time to listen.
Having worked for the state for many years, I've come across a lot of instances where medical care and procedures were not up to date. The individuals didn't have anyone to consent for the procedures passed. A lot of them had to go to the courts. So it's important that they receive the same medical care that all of us receive, regardless of their disability and where they're living.
I would like to relate the feeling that I get at the end of one of our workshops. There's always at the end a celebration and a graduation. And in that graduation ceremony, the women can stand up and talk about what happened to them during that class. And those stories, you can see the transformation from someone who came in the door and would hardly speak to anyone. She'd be so shy, or she didn't believe in herself. And here's this woman standing up in front of everyone, saying what she learned and how proud she is that she managed to get through it. So those kinds of stories, I'm always the one that has to sit way in the back because I get all teary-eyed, and it's quite profound.
I've been on a lot of cases over the years, and I find the ones that are very inspiring to me are the cancer patients. They have a rough life as it is. They need the care. The care provided by the consent forms allows them to get this medical treatment that they need and procedures. It prevents a lot of further issues down the road, but yet the ones with the cancer, they just seem that their quality of life has declined considerably. And by doing the surrogate decision hearings, it allows these individuals to get the care that's required. They can be set up with hospice, and it improves their quality of life. It decreases their pain and suffering, so they have a much better ending to their life, and they can die naturally.
Well, I would say do it. And of course, I'm biased, but there's a lot of people think that one person cannot make a difference. And I've come to realize that is not true. You might be the one who says something to someone that really makes a connection and really makes a difference in their life. And there are a lot of opportunities with programs at Empowered Pathways. There are a lot of opportunities depending on what your background is. You can help children, you can help families, you can help women, you can really make a difference in people's lives. And this is one agency where I have to say, as a volunteer, you really are appreciated and you're really valued person. So it's not lip service, it's sincere. And I've been there volunteering for over 8 years now. So I think for me, that's a pretty good testament.
I would say if you want to be a mediator, be prepared. The training takes time. So be prepared to do the training and stick with the program. And come with an open heart, because it's not about you providing a solution. It really is about listening and helping them hear. And so you have to come with an open heart and a willingness to be a channel for love and goodness in the world. And not as I'm going to fix their problem. Because the problem is not something for you to fix. It's something for them to come up with a solution that works for the best of them, for them. And sometimes what is obvious for us wouldn't work for either one of them. And so come with patience, come with an open heart, and come be prepared to give and to be changed in the process.
Now I have the privilege of introducing Regina Brown, who is our Youth Services Specialist and is also our Mediation Program Supervisor.
Thank you, Stephanie. Empowered Pathways is truly a wonderful place to work, reflected in our staff, a team of hardworking, dedicated individuals who are passionate about fulfilling the mission of Empowered Pathways. Now, in their own words, our staff will tell you what working at Empowered Pathways means to them.
Every day, I'm inspired by something here.
Empowered Pathways provides so many much needed services to the community.
I think the thing that excites me the most about working here is working with the community and community-based projects.
Well, I think a lot of my inspiration comes from the ladies themselves that we work with in our trainings.
The family at Empowered Pathway is incredible.
When I am able to facilitate a dialogue and I see individuals come together and start having communication.
Being around so many like-minded people that really have a passion to do good work and to help people is honestly the most exciting thing for me.
I get really excited when I hear a bell ring in the office, because that means one of our ladies got a job.
I remember when Women's Employment and Resource Center was down on Genesee Street, 1411 Genesee Street, before I became executive director. And I used to drive by there and see the sign and think, that if I could do anything else, I'd really want to work with that program.
When you're facilitating a
mediation circle or even a conflict coaching session, really what you're doing is just holding space for people. But when people have that space to speak freely and openly and honestly and actually be heard, they make some pretty big changes that you wouldn't really expect. And it's really great to see. More than that, when you are listening to somebody with the intent of understanding them fully, you help other people understand them too. Sometimes even you help them understand themselves. And it happens all the time, especially in mediation, when people are in conflict because of a small misunderstanding, and clearing that misunderstanding up makes the conflict just disappear. It's wild. And honestly, I can't imagine myself doing anything other than this.
You know, one of the things I do with the trainings is at the end of every day, we always do a round robin with everyone and ask for everyone's aha moments. And it gives them a time to reflect on the things that they learned that day, something that's new and different to them. And watching that excitement happen. You know, sometimes it's an aha moment with Microsoft Office. They learn something new in Word or Excel. But sometimes it has to do with some of those soft skills. And so we talk about communication and conflict resolution and some of those kinds of things. And watching those aha moments of saying, you know, if I had approached something this way, I would have had a different outcome. And so at the end of each day, watching the light bulbs go off with them and that aha moment is really exciting to me.
Well, I think that people associate Empowered Pathways with mediation services and women's employment services, but a lot of people don't know that we also have the Surrogate Decision-Making Committee program, which I really think is just a little gem of a program that's doing great work. The Surrogate Decision-Making Committee program has volunteer panels that help make medical decisions for individuals with developmental disabilities that can't make those decisions for themselves. And that was really the first program that I was introduced to after our merger. And I had the opportunity to sit in while a panel was meeting. And they were making a decision about an endoscopy for a young man. And it just really hit me how important that was. And the other thing that SDMC does is end of life decisions and procedures like DNRs and DNIs. And at the time that I sat in on this panel, I was actually doing that for my mom, who was going through end of life. And I remember thinking about that and thinking about the weight that I felt about that and how my brothers and I were thinking about every single detail and trying to make sure we were doing the right thing. And I sort of looked at it as the last kind thing that we could do for her. And I think everybody deserves that. They deserve someone who will make those tough decisions and say, this person needs to be able to pass with dignity and respect. And this is the last kind thing we can do, is to make sure that they don't suffer. So I just think that this program is amazing, doing such compassionate, important work, and people need to know about it.
Oh, try it. Go for it. See if it works for you. What you'll learn in training and becoming either a volunteer or a staff mediator is just so invaluable in your personal life as well as in your professional life. I mean, it really can help anywhere. And if you have the desire to be of service one way or another, this is a wonderful way to do it. And not only do we have the mediation program, but we also have the women's employment program. And so it's a perfect meld. It's advocacy, it's empowerment, and it really Oh, it just opens doors for those who are giving the services and those who are receiving the services. And I've seen that. So
thank you to all the staff that participated in that video, and thank you for the work you do every day. You all are incredible and amazing. And so I'm going to introduce more of the work side of the program to you. I began as an executive director of the Women's Employment and Resource Center in 2012, and part of the trainings ever since then. And the training's always evolving and it's always changing. But the one thing that has remained consistent from every class from 2012 on is something we call Rose 2 Cents. And Rose 2 Cents started very organically. Rosemary Legabo, who's our office manager, she would hear what was going on in the training room, and having had her own experience with job searching, she would drop in and say, I have 2 cents. And she'd drop these little nuggets of wisdom about job searching or Microsoft Excel. And so every class started to look forward to her visits and her 2 cents. And so it's my pleasure to introduce to you today another one of our best kept secrets, Rose 2 Cents.
I have 2 cents. Be prepared. Keep a spiral notebook or a loose leaf notebook handy. And as you're applying for jobs, write down notes. The date that you've applied, the name of the company, the name of the contact person and their phone number, the job title, the job duties they're requiring that you possess. Have all this handy. You never know when you might get a phone call. And if you see a number come up that you don't recognize, go back to your notebook and check and see if that's one of the places you applied to. If you're in a noisy setting, let the call go to voicemail. Then when you are, quiet, you can listen to the voice message, take some notes, make sure you know the name of the person that called you, where they're calling from. Look at your notes, refresh your memory, and then take a deep breath and call them back. You've got one chance to make a really good impression, and that impression could be what's going to get you your official interview. So be prepared.
And now I'd like to introduce you to some of the women that have gone through our program in their own words.
When I think of work, and I often think of work, I think they have become my beacon. They started to light that little flame, gave me some confidence, gave me some direction, gave me skills that I needed, basic skills just to build from, really got me going again.
I was applying for a job and I did the customer service part excellent. I scored like a 96, but when it came to the Word and the Excel, I only answered 3 questions. But she called me for an interview. And she had me come in and she said, you need to go to work, Women's Employment Resource Center. She said, because I know you can do it.
Being an older employee, there's more competition out there with younger people, and I didn't really have that much confidence that I would be able to get a position that a young person with maybe more computer skills would have.
I made 2 major life changes, and I felt as if what I did to improve my life, everything was stacking up against me, and I didn't feel like I had any recourse myself. So when she asked me to seek work out and see what they have to offer, I was just thought it was another program. Okay, they're just going to help me find a job.
What I feel my most useful skill that I obtained with the work program, I built confidence. I felt that I could speak freely, speak my mind, offer ideas, and then having them be looked at with value. I redeemed some self-esteem, and I'm very appreciative for that chance.
My son just recently went for a job interview yesterday, and I went over the interview questions with him, and lo and behold, they asked him the same exact questions. They weren't only just useful for me, they were useful for me helping prep my kids for workforce.
I was able to go into an interview and shake that person's hand and have confidence that I was qualified for the position I was applying for, just by attending the classes and getting the confidence built up that you could do it. Reach for the stars.
So when I think about work, I think about empowerment. I think about integrating myself back into society. I want to give that back to other people. And I always, as soon as I see in my email, I'm like, oh, gotta share that.
You know, you weren't our employers by any means, but you were setting up that foreground for us, saying this is what is to be expected of you when you're employed. They expect you to be on time. They expect you to give your best. They expect you to be dressed professional. I mean, that's what an employee is.
In a class of 9, and 5 women are employed, and I don't think it was a full 30 days since we graduated that 5 women have been employed. I think that's success. I think that's success.
I just can't say enough how great they are to work with. They go out of their way for everybody that goes into their programs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. And now I'm going to introduce Kathy Peters, who's our Employment Training and Outreach Coordinator.
Good afternoon, everyone. So you've had the opportunity to meet our board who provides our direction and vision. You've met some of our amazing volunteers who are the backbone of much of our program delivery. You've met our dedicated staff who works tirelessly every day, and you've met some of the program participants who have benefited from our services. Our pathway to the future depends on each and every one of these amazing people and so many more. It depends on our funders and our donors and the people who share our story with others. Empowered Pathways is filled with many roles and many people. Our Pathway to the Future campaign was designed to recognize and celebrate where we've been, but more importantly, where we're going. We weren't able to gather for tables and tastings or the work luncheon this year, but we can gather virtually to commit to a future that continues to create solutions and move forward. As we continue on this pathway to the future, let's take a tour of our offices where programs and services happen and see some of the changes we've made to address our new normal.
Welcome to Empowered Pathways. This is our reception area, which is equipped with PPE and a temperature check station. As we move through the space, you'll see that all of our rooms have PPE in place. We'd like to extend a very special thanks to the COVID Relief Fund for making this possible.
I remember working on this one case, And it was two guys that had been friends forever. As I talk with them and I help them hear each other, you could see them beginning to really hear. And it really was all about hurt feelings. And because of that, they had spiraled out of control. There was no reasoning because it was all about emotion. That happens so often. A lot of times the people can walk back out of there being friends because they hurt each other. That really makes all the difference.
Child Custody Advocate Program, or CCAP, is the eyes and ears of the court. Staff and volunteers usually visit homes, virtually or in person, to assess for safety and living conditions. They then offer recommendations and insight to help the court decide custody cases.
A 15-year-old boy had been placed on a PINS petition, the requests coming from his parents. This young man had been using marijuana, disrupting the entire family dynamics. The family was from a small town with mom teaching at the school. Dad was a conservative man demanding respect and obedience from his son, who was becoming more and more isolated. The family attended several family group conference sessions, each time delving further into family issues. Emotions teetered back and forth from fear to anger to hurt and everything in between. There were tears and frustration, but laughter too. Truths were told and finally heard. Through dedication and commitment, a family-generated plan of action was created. The young man was removed from probation rolls and headed to a brighter future, free from drug use.
Empowered Pathways works with the Justice Center for the Protection of People with Special Needs to administer SDMC hearings, to obtain consent for medical procedures for individuals who don't have the capacity to make these decisions for themselves or a family member to give consent for them.
The women who attend our trainings become close friends and connect on a very deep level. We work on technical skills, but we also have some lively discussions about conflict, values, team building. So lively it sometimes disrupts other staff. So as you travel through the training room this afternoon, you'll see a lot of the pictures of the ladies on the screens. And just know that those ladies behind those faces are women who are committed and determined to setting a new course for themselves, learn new skills, and become self-sufficient. So through this pandemic, we've had to move into a more virtual setting to do our trainings, and our most recent training is called Project Pivot, and that stands for Providing Interactive Virtual Office Training. And so hopefully we'll be able to do this Zoom training for the time being, but we're looking forward to being back in the classroom very soon.
And now for the big reveal, our Pathway to the Future campaign's visual display, complete with our stepping stones and pathway lights that were generously sponsored by so many of you. On behalf of our board, staff, volunteers, and the clients we serve, we extend our gratitude and thanks to everyone who contributed to this campaign. As you all know, this has been a very challenging year. Because of the pandemic, we were unable to hold our fundraising events, which generate important funds to supplement the cost of providing services. The money raised by this campaign will help offset this loss and support many of the programs you heard about today, including our Women's Employment Program, our Child Custody Advocacy Program, our Surrogate Decision-Making Committee Program, our Mediation Services, Youth Services, School-Based Services, and our Juvenile Justice Program. When we began this campaign, we were committed to moving beyond the many challenges 2020 presented. So inspired by our tagline, Create Solutions, Move Forward, we decided to focus forward, to build a pathway to the future, which led to the concept behind this campaign. Despite all that has happened this year, we'll continue moving forward with your help and will remain dedicated to serving the diverse communities within the Mohawk Valley. Thank you for believing in us, and thank you for taking this journey with us. I want to just say something about Project Pivot that Kathy mentioned. We originally thought we were only going to be able to offer that class 1 or 2 times this year, but because of the generosity of the Women's Fund and the Community Foundation, we're going to be able to offer it at least 3 times. So we're very excited about that. And I want to thank you all for joining us as we marked the anniversary of the Peacemaker Program and the Women's Employment and Resource Center. We are so proud to have been able to serve the Mohawk Valley for the past decades, but we really couldn't have done it without all of you, without our donors and sponsors and funders, state funders, local funders, volunteers, staff, board, everyone that has made it possible for us to provide these services to the Mohawk Valley over these 25 and 30 years. And we'll continue with your support. I want to special thanks to the volunteers who participated in the video once again, Carol Higgins, Pam Hamilton, and Kim Hirsch. All of our staff who helped put this together. Special shout out to Tim Lyon, who did a lot of technical work and videos behind the scenes. So he worked really hard in addition to all his other work. So thank you. And as you can see, we still have stepping stones and pathway lights that have not been filled in. If you're interested in learning more about that campaign, just go to our website, empoweredpathwayscny.org, and there'll be some contact information also on the screen at the end of the program. I just want to say again, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone worked really hard on this, and I hope you learned something new about our organization. And I just want to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday. And thank you so much again.